Most people think when market change, demand goes down. But that's not what actually happens, because demand does not disappear equally. In fact, it's redistributed. In every market, there is two types of demand. There is elastic demand and fixed demand. And once you see this clearly, you stop reacting to the market and start understanding it. Now, elastic demand. Elastic demand is flexible and it moves with conditions. When prices go up, it slows down. And when uncertainty increases, elastic demand disappears. These are buyers who can buy, but they don't have to. But on the other hand, fixed demand is different, since it's tied to life decisions, not a market conditions. For example, people upgrading, relocating, or positioning long term. Here, they are not reacting. In fact, they are acting based on necessity. But here is where the most people get it wrong, since they assume fixed demand means unlimited demand. But in fact, it does not. Because yes, fixed demand creates stability, but does not create immunity. And even commuted buyers have a wake-away point when numbers does not make sense, and when ownership cost exceeds logic. So yes, they step back too, just later than everyone else. Now look at how this plays out in investors-driven areas like JVC, the Mac Islands, or other similar communities where demand is mostly elastic. Investors, flippers, and short-term buyers, where they react fast and they have exit fast. But on other hands, areas like Emirates Hills or Blue Waters, demand behaves completely different, because the owners here are end users, long-term holders, and lifestyle buyers, which makes the supply and demand more stable under pressure. So when the market shifts, elastic demand leaves first, and what remains is the fixed demand. But here's the key. The first impact is not the price. In fact, it is liquidity. Therefore, we see transactions starts to slow down and deals stop happening, and the market starts to feel frozen. And this is the real sequence. Elastic demand exits, liquidity drops, price discovery slows, and only then prices begin to adjust selectively. And in elastic demand-driven markets, listings increases, sellers compete, and everyone here is trying to exit. And that's exactly where the pressure builds. On the other hand, in fixed demand markets, listings stay, and here the owners are not forced to sell. Yes, the market here slows down, but it does not collapse. Now here is the deeper layer. Elastic demand is not an enemy. In fact, it fuels the system, fund development, creates supply, and builds the ecosystem. Today, investors can become tomorrow's end users. But when too much of that demand disappears, the system slows, logic delays, momentum weakens. The market here does not just correct, in fact, it contracts. So the real question is not is the demand going up or going down? That question is actually too simple and too shallow. The real question that we should ask, what type of demand remains when the pressure builds? Because in the end, markets are not defined by price. In fact, they are defined by the type of demand supporting the system. And this is exactly where most of the investors fail, because they try to time the market instead of identifying where the fixed demand actually exists. And through our lens, we do not chase the market. In fact, we decode the logic and position within it.